Hello there, students. Today's objective is students will be able to translate between words and algebraic expressions. Now let's go over a few really important things. And I think I'm going to break this video lesson into two different lessons. This first part, and I'll do another one for the second part. So this first part, first of all, let's go over what an algebraic expression actually is. Okay? You have to know the difference between an expression and an equation. Okay? And if you think about the word equation, the root of that word is equal. Equation, equal. So equations have equal to signs. However, expressions, okay, this is really important, do not have an equal to sign. So no equal to sign. Okay. And I think that's the key. Well, let's also get this down. All an algebraic expression is kind of like a math sentence that relates numbers and variables. So don't have the two lines. Okay. All right, let's go over a constant term. Okay, constant. What does constant mean? Well, constant means it stays the same, right? If you say that the amount of money that you make per hour at a job is, let's just say, 15 bucks, the amount that you make stays constant. It doesn't change. Okay, so a constant term in math is simply a number. A number all by itself. Okay, and we should also add here not touching a variable. Okay. So part A says, what are the constant terms in number 2? Well, number 2 is the one right up here. Okay. What are the constant terms? Well, 3x is a term and 8 is a term. The 3x isn't because it has a number touching a variable. So the only constant term is 8. Okay. Part B, what are the constant terms in number 3? Well, you have -4 and then x. What's in front of this x right here? If no number is in front of a variable, what is actually there? And you should say, well, there's a hidden 1 there. Okay, so it's a hidden 1x. Okay, but the constant term in this case, the number all by itself, not touching any variables, is -4. Okay. All right, let's go over what coefficients are. Okay. Coefficients are numbers being multiplied by a variable. Okay, and we know that if it's being multiplied, most of the time it's going to be just touching that variable. Okay. So, coefficients. What are the coefficients in number 3 above? Well, let's look at number 3. We already went through that. The number touching the variable is that hidden 1. Okay, and make sure you make a note here that that's hidden. Again, if there's not a number in front of a variable, we know that we can put in a hidden 1. All right, what are the coefficients in number 4? Well, in number 4, we have a 2 touching a variable, and we have an 8 touching a variable. So we have two coefficients, 2 and 8. Okay. Let me give you another one. So another one that I want to give you is 2x minus 5x squared. Okay. Well, what are the coefficients in this one? Let's just abbreviate coef for coefficients. What are the coefficients? Well, what's in front of the variables or touching the variables? We have a 2, and then we also have a... Now, here's where mistakes come in. Listen carefully. A lot of you are probably thinking 5. That's not correct. You have to take the sign with it. So what's the sign in front of the 5? Well, it's a minus, which means it's a negative 5 as a coefficient. Again, the key on that is you have to take the sign with it. Okay? All right, product. You all ought to know what operation this means. This operation is multiplication. Multiplication. Okay? If you did not know that by heart, and just real quickly, you've got to have that memorized. All right, let's go on to the next page. Okay, a power. What's a synonym for a power in math? First of all, a synonym is what? Well, it's two different words that have the same meaning. Okay, so what's a synonym to powers in math? Well, the synonym would be an exponent. Okay, so let's go over a few things. First of all, and you do need your calculator for this, so if you don't have your calculator, hit pause, grab it. Okay, how would we say this in words? Well, we would say 3 to the 0 power. Okay, 3 to the 0 power. How would we say this one? We would say 3, and you could even say raised to the first power. Okay. How would we say this one? Well, we could say 3 raised to the second power or 3 to the second power, but we can also just say 3 squared. Anything raised to the second power we can just say as squared. Okay. How would we say this one? Oops, sorry, that should be a... I don't know if that'll let me erase it or not. Yep. So how do we say 3, this one? Well, we could say 3 raised to the third power, or 3 to the third power, but we can also say, okay, what's anything raised to the third power? We would say it's 3 cubed. Okay. Now, let's go over the meaning of these. Okay. So this first one, I want you to do this on your calculator. Okay, do 3 raised to the 0 power. Okay, and you might have to, on your calculator, it might look like this. It might look like 3, there's a little kind of caret button. It's almost like a triangle. And then you hit the 0. Okay, if you have a graphing calculator, that's what it looked like. Or some of the blue ones, you can put that in. Okay, what do you get when you do that? 3 raised to the 0 power. Well, you should get 1. Okay. Now, there's a key point to this. Okay. Anything raised to 0 power is 1. Anything. Okay, so that one actually equals 1. Now, I want you to do a few things. So again, you have to have your calculator for this. I want you to do -5 to the 0 power. Do -5 raised to the 0 power. Okay. Now, some of you may have gotten -1. And you say, well, Mr. Irwin, that not everything raised to the 0 power is +1 then. Okay. It is if you do it correctly. Here's the key. You have to use parentheses. If you say take -5, that entire thing, to the 0 power, okay, you have to use parentheses. Now, do it with, repunch it in with parentheses, and you will get a +1. Okay, we've learned this before, but with substitution, you have to use parentheses. So if we say, like, what's a to the 0 power, and a equals -5, okay, you can't just plug in -5 to the 0 power. When you plug in -5 for a, you have to plug it in using parentheses. Okay. All right, 3 to the first power means simply multiply 3 times itself one time. So let's just get this down. Number times itself. And in this case, it would be one time. The exponent tells you how many times to multiply it by itself. Okay. So 3 to the second power means take the base of 3, again, take the base of 3 and multiply it by itself 2 times. So it would be 3 times 3, which equals 9. 3 to the third power, take the base number is this bigger bottom one, multiply it by itself 3 times. So 3 times 3 times 3. And you get 27. Okay. All right, let's go down here. Go ahead and evaluate each of these expressions. Okay, so hit pause now, evaluate each of these expressions. When you're done, unpause it, check your work with mine. Okay, by now you should have these done. So this would be 9 times 9, which is equal to 81. Make sure you show the 9 times 9. This one would be 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. And when you do that, you get 256. Okay. And then this next one, what would we do? So we have several things going here. We have exponents and addition. What would you do first? Would you do the exponents or addition? Well, according to GMDAS, right, we have to do the exponents first. So 4 times 4 is 16, plus 5 to the third power, well, that would be 125. And then when you add those, you get, let's see, I think it would be 141. Okay. All right, next part. It says identify the coefficients and constants of the following. So here's how we're going to do this. For each one of these, we're just going to write coef, and that's just our abbreviation for coefficients. And then for constants, we're just going to abbreviate this, const. Okay? So what are the coefficients in this first one? Well, what's in front of this x to the fourth power if nothing is there? There's a hidden what? There's a hidden 1. So our coefficients, the numbers in front of variables, we have a 1, and we have this positive 2. Okay. Now what are the constants, or the numbers all by themselves? Well, there are none. Okay. So you would write the word none. Now, here's a common mistake for students to write this, 0. Okay. Is 0 in front of any variable there? No. 0 is a number. So you can't say 0 is a constant. You can't say 0 is a constant because there's no plus 0 on this one. So do not write 0, you write none to say that there aren't any. Okay? Let's do the next one. Coef, and let's really organize our work. So I'm going to draw a line down there. Again, we really need to work on organizing our work. Okay? Coef, constants. Well, what are the coefficients? We have a 2 and a, what's this one right here? What is it? Okay, you should have said it's not just a hidden 1, but you got to look at the sign. It's a negative 1. Okay, what's the constant, the number all by itself? Well, it's not 8. Look at the sign in front. It's negative 8. Okay, all right, before class, you need to have problems 3, 4, 5, and 6 all the way complete. Okay, just do the same thing. Write coef, constant, write what they are. Okay, so again, before class, you must have that done.